Welcome, everybody. It's 6:05. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Gail Green. I'm the Assistant Director here at the LSA Honors Program, and I want to welcome you all to our Q&A targeted towards admitted students, although there may be a few of you who are visiting us today to get some more information about the program, and you might not have been admitted yet. We're going to be kind of focusing a lot of our discussion today on questions that admitted students often have, talking a little bit about the program to give you an overview and giving you lots of time to be able to ask questions. I have with me today a whole bunch of current honor students, which is fantastic. They really represent a wide diversity of interests and backgrounds and things like that. We also have with us today our program assistant, Shannon McCauley, who's sort of our behind the scenes guru, feeding us questions that you all have and posting links and things like that. So you'll see her posting in the Q&A and in the chat with, again, helpful links and in some cases answering some of the questions that come in on the Q&A. I'm going to have our students introduce themselves. And so I'm just going to start with the first person on my left-hand side, and that would be Eric. So Eric, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yep. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Choi, and I'm currently a senior majoring in neuroscience. I'm from Troy, Michigan, which is just like an hour away from Ann Arbor, and my pronouns are he, his. Some of the things I do outside of school are I work as a part-time EMT at Huron Valley Ambulance. I do research for the surgery department here at Michigan Medicine. I'm a hunger and housing chair for the club called Circle K, where we basically set up a lot of like donations, and we volunteer at like food shelters and things like that. It's really fun. I recommend it if you ever come on campus. And I'm also part of the Michigan table tennis team. Nice to meet everyone.
Awesome. Next, we have Yulia.
Hi, everyone. My name's Yulia. I'm a sophomore majoring in public policy with minors in biochem and writing. I'm from Rochester, Michigan, which is also about an hour away, similar to the Troy area. Some of the stuff I do outside of classes is the video editor on the Michigan Daily. I'm involved in a professional chemistry fraternity and a social sorority on campus. I do research in an internal medicine lab over at Michigan Medicine, and I volunteer with a Detroit-based organization called Arab American and Chaldean Council, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Next up, we have Alyssa.
Hi everyone, my name's Alyssa. I'm a sophomore majoring in molecular, cellular, and developmental biology. I'm originally from South Dakota, so a little bit further than these other two. Outside of schoolwork, I'm in the American Medical Student Association. I tutor at a local middle school through Wolverine Tutors, and then I also tutor organic chemistry.
Awesome. Next up, Veronica.
Hi, I'm Veronica. I'm a junior majoring in data science and statistics, and I'm minoring in math. I'm from Grand Blanc, Michigan, also about an hour away. Outside of school, I'm the operations director for Dance Marathon at the University of Michigan. I've also done research in my first 2 years here. I'm on a student leadership board for the Michigan Institute for Data Science, and I also work as a grader for an intro computer science class.
Thanks. And next up, we've got Janice.
Hi everyone, my name is Janice. I'm a first year student here, and I'm from the suburbs of Chicago. I'm intending to major in political science and Spanish on the pre-law track. And outside of school, I'm involved in central student government. I'm an intern for the Student General Council. I'm also a news reporter for the Michigan Daily. I'm part of UNICEF, which is a volunteer organization, and I'm also a reading and writing tutor for Washington literacy.
And last but certainly not least, we've got Yoshi.
Hi, my name is Yoshi, and I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm a first-year student here at the LSA Honors Program. I'm planning to major in biochemistry. Some stuff that I do outside of school is that I did research over at the School of Dentistry at U of M. And I'm also in a club called Med Launch, which is a club where we create adaptive technology for people with disability, and it's a very fun, interactive club. I recommend you to join. And I'm also in the Japan Student Association.
Great. So again, we've got a really wide diversity of interests and intellectual backgrounds and things like that, as well as locations everybody's coming from. So if you have questions that are related to any of the things the students just mentioned, or questions about, making the change to come to Michigan and, what moving to Ann Arbor is like, go ahead, pop those questions in the Q&A. I'm going to move into a brief overview of the program. And so I'll quickly share my screen here. And all right. So LSA Honors Program, the website that kind of gives an overview of the program that's really aimed at first year students, breaking down what we do and our mission and goals and so forth. The website's listed right here, so you can go ahead and read through that at your leisure. There's also a lot of information that once you do decide to come to Michigan, you're going to find to be pretty helpful information about housing, the honors community, advising, and things like that. So what is the LSA Honors Program? The Honors Program is really two very different programs under one umbrella. So Honors Program is not the same thing in the first 2 years as it is in the second 2 years of the program. It varies quite a bit. Lower division is targeted towards first and second year students, and it's a broad liberal arts experience. You take a variety of honors courses from across LSA, and those courses that you take as part of the honors program are going to be fulfilling general graduation requirements that you have as an LSA student. So that's the aim, like the mission of that lower division program, is to give you some really broad and interdisciplinary experiences in our honors core courses, and I'll talk more about those in a few minutes. Also, it'll give you the chance to take some honors courses in the disciplines, introductory courses, for example, in a lot of different fields that you can take in an honors way. The upper division, or the second 2 years of the honors program, is actually really different because it's not about a broad liberal arts experience. It's much more focused either on your department of major or on an honors and the engaged liberal arts project. So for students who decide that they'd like to pursue the upper division program, they're going to most likely be writing a thesis, doing original research in their department of major. Or in the case of students who decide to pursue a a HELA project isn't tied to your department of major. The Honors and Engaged Liberal Arts, or HELA project, is really something that students are deeply involved in, that tends to be kind of community-based, or a project that isn't necessarily tied to their major, but a student makes connections between academic work and this service work or project-based work, idea work, if you will, and develops some kind of overarching project experience. So that's the second 2 years of the honors program. And as our little button down here, the thought bubble says, you can participate in one or both divisions of the honors program. So we have students who start with us in the lower division program and continue on, declare an honors major or a HELA, and complete their 4 years in the honors program. There are some students, though, who join the lower division program and opt not to continue on to the upper division program. That's fine. We also have students who do not start with us as incoming first year students and go on to declare an honors major or complete a HELA project. So the lower division program in honors is really broken into three, I would say, like distinct buckets of sorts. The first, and I think the key part of what we do in the lower division program, it's academics. We offer students a variety of courses, and we require that students take some courses through honors in order to maintain membership in the honors program. Specifically, we require that students take courses from the honors core curriculum. These core courses are going to be interdisciplinary courses. They're going to encourage you to think big, think broadly, think about connections between different disciplines, think about what ties things together and how, in some cases, different disciplines can contribute very different kinds of ideas and solutions to problems or questions in a field. We also are going to have students take these courses in part to act as, for a lot of students, building blocks. The honors core courses, many of them meet the college's first year writing requirement. And they also get you to think about issues and topics in real depth. And we'll be able to answer questions if you have questions about specific core courses. All of our students representing today have taken core courses and different core courses. We offer usually around 4 or 5 different honors core courses every term. But the honors courses don't stop at the core curriculum. We also offer seminars, departmental honors courses, courses like Organic Chemistry 1, or Introduction to Psychology, or Honors Calc 1. We also offer students the opportunity in their first 2 years to pursue research. There are a lot of ways that students can get involved in research, but if you do find a research project and you'd like to register for credit in your first 2 years, honors is a way that you can earn credit for that work that you do. We also offer students the chance to do what are called honors conversions. Conversions are when you take a non-honors class, but turn it into an honors class by working one-on-one with a faculty member who's teaching that course throughout the semester. You meet with them regularly outside of class. You do some enrichment, whether that be reading, writing, blog posts, for example, maybe some research that's related to something that the course normally covers. Or maybe you take the course a little bit further than it normally goes. Students who do a conversion also do some kind of project, or maybe they're going to be doing some work that the normal class doesn't have you do, but it's all designed to give you the chance to really dive in deep to a topic that's related to the course and develop a relationship with a faculty member along the way. So all of these academics can culminate in the Sophomore Honors Award. And that's how we recognize that students have successfully met the expectations of the lower division program. If you take a certain number of core courses and you take a certain number of courses outside of the core, conversions, seminars, departmental honors courses, research, as well as some of our extracurricular opportunities, you can earn the Sophomore Honors Award that recognizes the work that you've done and sort of the portfolio that you've put together in those first 2 years. Students who earn the Sophomore Honors Award are recognized at honors commencement, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. In the lower division, we do offer more than just academics. We also offer advising services. As we have here, all students are assigned an honors advisor, and this is going to start at the point that you come for new student orientation. Orientation will be a virtual 2-day experience this year, but you'll have meetings with your assigned academic advisor where you'll be able to not only talk about honors courses and honors requirements and expectations, but also what do you want to do? What do you want to explore? What do you want to find out more about? That advisor will be assigned to you for as long as you're in the honors program. And so there are students that I, as an advisor, meet with every semester until they graduate. And we've developed close and meaningful relationships. I keep up with a lot of my students even after they graduate because of the conversations we've had and the connections we've been able to build over their 4 years. But we also offer services beyond general advising. We do offer pre-med advising, pre-law advising for students who are interested in those tracks, and we have an advisor dedicated to working with those populations of students, both early on to talk about, general approaches, things you should be thinking about, the things you shouldn't be worrying about, for example, as a pre-med student in your first year, but also to offer more individualized, specialized advising as you're nearing the point of applying to medical school or applying to law school. We also offer community for our students, and the community isn't really confined to the first 2 years, but I would say it's most intensive in the first 2 years. We have a housing option for students, so we're considered a Michigan learning community because of that housing opportunity. Housing is not a required part of the LSA Honors program, however. You do not have to live in honors housing, but about 75 to 80% of our incoming first year class does opt to live in honors housing in their first year. We're located over in South Quad, which is a great location, but what really makes housing special are living with students that you're taking classes with. Almost every incoming first year student in their first term would be taking an honors core class. And so you'll see friendly faces, people that you see in your discussion section, you'll see back in the dorm. There'll be students that you see in maybe some of your other introductory classes in organic chemistry 1, for example, or in your honors intro psych class. And you'll be able to still interact with those people on your way back to the dorm or in the halls, studying together, working together, prepping for exams, things like that. But we also do more than just have students who are taking similar classes living together. We have a lot of different social activities and events for students to participate in. Everything this past year has been virtual, so it's been a very unusual year for us in terms of building community, because it is, as it turns out, it's really hard to build community when everybody is online. We did have some in-person events at the very beginning of the year, and I think those were a great opportunity for students to be able to get to know each other and make connections with people. And hopefully, come next fall, we are able to again have in-person activities, bringing people together, doing some cool stuff, getting to know Ann Arbor and getting to know what the U of M campus offers. So we sponsor all kinds of outings, events, activities. In normal times, we'll go to Detroit, we'll go to the Detroit Institute of Arts, we'll go to traveling Broadway show, usually in Detroit, sometimes Detroit sporting events. But we also go to U of M sporting events. We go to UMS, University Musical Society performances, different kinds of activities, tubing on the Huron River, for example. And so we're hoping to get back to our full slate or something close to our full slate of social events and activities. We advertise all of our activities in our This Week in Honors newsletter. And we also have opportunities for students to engage with mentors and ambassadors throughout their first year, either through our Honors 170 class or through our summer honors kind of, we have usually like a shared reading activity, as well as a shared class. That's a non-credit earning class, but just a way for people to kind of engage and get to know each other. So moving on to the upper division honors program, it's actually a little bit, as I mentioned earlier, focused on the honors major that you complete. So you do research in almost all majors. If you complete an honors version of that major, you do research, you write a thesis. If you're interested in honors mathematics, that is a little bit different. They are the one department that does not require that you write a thesis, but rather take a series of upper division and graduate level mathematics coursework. But not the other departments, and every single LSA department does offer an honors major. So you can kind of become a member of that scientific community, of that, body of research produced in that field. So for students who are maybe thinking about going on and going to graduate school, it's a great opportunity to build some skills, to build relationships with a faculty member, because when you write a thesis, you do have a faculty advisor who serves as your thesis mentor. But it's also an opportunity for students to make a contribution to a discipline, to contribute to the body of knowledge that exists. For a lot of our students, they're able to publish their findings, their research, in a variety of journals, as professional scientific journals, as well as student-run journals, present their thesis or their research in public forums and so forth. For students who complete a HELA project, there is a public presentation of that. And for some of our HELA projects, what they have done lasts beyond their time here. So the research that they do, for example, on composting at the university has gone forward to inform compost efforts in the university dining halls, as just one example of a HeLa project. But for all students who either complete a HeLa project, an honors major, they will graduate with honors on their transcript and diploma. We also, though, recognize students who aren't graduating with honors through an honors major or a HeLa project, who also earn the Sophomore Honors Award at our commencement ceremony. So at the end of your time at Michigan, if you completed the Sophomore Honors Award and did not go on to the Upper Division Honors Program, we would still bring you back and recognize the work that you did and the accomplishment that you had in those first 2 years. And students who, even if they didn't start with us, but if they completed an honors major or a HeLa project, their work is recognized at honors commencement. All right, so that again is a very brief overview of the program, but we're going to go ahead and dedicate the rest of our time to questions. So I'm going to stop sharing. There are some links. Shannon will go ahead and be dropping these into the chat later on, so don't worry, you will see these again. We'll go ahead and move over into the Q&A. So I see the first question here. Many of the students mentioned research at Michigan Medicine. So how easy was it to get a research position with the med school? What was that process like? I have not done research at U of M's med school, so I'm going to turn this one over to the students who have. So who'd ever like to pop in, go for it.
I can go. So I actually started freshman year. I did UROP, which is like undergraduate research. And they really help you with like finding objects, making sure, you get on a project, you know how to write a cover letter, resume, all that. So that's how I first got involved in research in Michigan Medicine. And then after a year there, I got a lot of good experience there, but I decided I wanted to do more like patient interaction based stuff because that was more wet lab stuff. So to get my current position at Michigan Medicine, which is with an internal medicine lab, I actually just like sent cold email. And just emailed a lot of people. I looked through, did a lot of searching through websites, a lot of hours lost, through Michigan websites, looking at what professors' projects I liked. But yeah, just kind of reading about what research people were doing and then expressing my interest, kind of saying specifically this specific thing that I think is really cool. And I got lucky and people answered me back pretty quick. I've heard, you can email 20 people and get maybe a couple answers. So don't be discouraged if you do end up emailing and people don't answer. It is pretty common to go kind of either way.
Yeah, kind of going off of that, I also cold emailed a lot of professors, but for me it was a little different because I was at a volunteering shift with one of my friends, and his lab had an opening random, it somehow came up, and I just happened to just email his PI, and that's how I landed my research position. So honestly, it's there's so many research opportunities here at Michigan, and you never know when it's just going to hit you in the back of the head.
Yeah, one thing I want to say about research at Michigan Medicine. I'm doing research at the Michigan Dentistry School, but so you might not see me as the top dog to talk about Michigan Medicine research. But I'll tell you, coming into the university, I knew I wanted to do like research at Michigan Medicine, probably like you. But also I've heard from a lot of people try to reach out to other departments too. So I was looking at Michigan Medicine, but also looking at the School of Dentistry and see how they do their process and they do their research. So I kind of wanted to have a more broader experience with different disciplines. So make sure you don't completely do make sure you don't completely funnel yourself into thinking that you have to do Michigan Medicine research. I know med schools, if you're applying, they look at different kinds of research that have to be science related either. So for me, I like my place at the Michigan Dentistry School. So yeah, just don't restrict yourself too much.
Excellent. All right, so another question about study abroad opportunities for honor students. So I do want to mention, a lot of students do typically go on study abroad. A lot of honor students do go on study abroad through Michigan. Right now, study abroad is largely paused, but hopefully we're able to get back soon to our normal study abroad activities. The honors program does not have, if you will, like special honors only study abroad programs. There are some study abroad programs that I'd say a higher proportion of honor students go on those. And in particular, there's one at Oxford University that focuses on economics. That's pretty popular among students who are interested in economics. Um, and we have a couple of sort of science or math oriented study abroad programs that tend to attract honor students in Germany and in the Netherlands. So those are, two that I can think of off the top of my head that kind of, again, have an unusually high proportion of honor students who go on those. But honor students can go on any study abroad program, and they go on all kinds of study abroad programs. So I've had students go on study abroad programs that involve being on a boat off the Japanese shores, doing maritime research. I've had students go and learn Spanish in Grenada. I've had students go to, let's see here now, Venezuela, Ecuador for Spanish culture, Spanish language. So students do all kinds of different study abroad programs. And as advisors on the honors program, we're pretty supportive, and we're here to help students figure out how to make a study abroad program work into their larger academic plan. For a lot of students, if the study abroad program that they're thinking of ties into their major, they work a lot with their major advisor to figure out how to make that study abroad program happen. One thing, though, that the honors program does do, we have funds available to help support student study abroad efforts, whether those be related to a thesis or not. So these funds aren't going to cover anybody's entire study abroad program. They're really intended to be supplementary, but we do offer those funds to, help support the valuable experience that study abroad is. So somebody asks about classes, and will there be any issue with enrolling in classes due to limitations in the number of seats? And so I'm actually going to turn this one over to the students. Have you ever had any problems enrolling for classes because of seat limitations, particularly as a first-year student? And if so, how did you solve that?
So I have had issues about like not getting into a class that I wanted, but there were times because you get the later registration dates that you don't get into the section that you wanted. So like I ended up in some 8 a.m. or some 8:30 classes my freshman year. But other than that, I was always able to I was lucky enough to always get into the classes that I wanted and the classes that I needed.
I remember I had some difficulty getting into Spanish 231 because some of the more introductory Spanish classes are capped at like 18 people. So they really just won't push on, if you're on the wait list, like they won't push you to be in the class because there's just a hard cap. But I do remember like when I signed up, classes were full, but then when I checked like 3 weeks later, there was a spot opened. So I do think like during the course of the summer, there are students who like either end up dropping the class or something, so a spot will open up. So I think my best advice would be if you know that like a class such as like Spanish 232 or 231 has a hard cap on the amount of students that they take, just like keep checking and like ask your advisor if seats tend to open up like later throughout the summer or early in the fall.
I can add on to that. I guess I've been on like the wait list a couple of times, and it's honestly not that big of an issue just because like unless it's like a class like Janice talked about, most classes will allow you to get off the wait list. A lot of students do drop in the first couple of weeks of the semester, and even if you can't like happen to get into class, your honors advisors are very helpful in giving you like a ton of like options for your major, and like just like classes that you've like never thought you could take, things like that. So your advisors will be very helpful with that as well.
All right, I will chime in. I know at some universities there really is like a space problem when it comes to classes Michigan tends not to have huge issues with regard to that. It's not as though for certain classes you would have to wait until your last year to be able to take them or anything like that. Usually, when students have difficulty registering, it's because of conflicts. So you can't be in two places at the same time. And it might be that what's open means you have to make a decision between, say, two classes or something like that. Generally, those kinds of conflicts happen once, and you're able to resolve it either because space opens up in another section that term, or you take it in the next term. So we're usually able as advisors to help you navigate those kinds of situations and make sure that you make good progress towards your degree. In honors, we have, I would say at this point, probably like a 95% four-year graduation rate. So our students do not get held up and do not have to postpone their graduation because they can't get into classes. When they don't graduate in 4 years, it's usually because they're making an affirmative choice to stay longer to do something. All right, so there's another one. Do any of the student panelists live outside of honors housing? And if so, have you felt you were still able to engage with the honors community? So again, I'm going to turn this one over to the students. I know for some of you, you started in honors housing. I will preface this with honors housing is typically lived in for 1 year. And almost all students, though not everybody, but almost all students do move off campus at Michigan after their first year. Honors housing, we do offer the option for students to continue until their second year, typically, but it's a pretty, I would say about 30% of the students who live with us in their first year opt traditionally to continue on to honors housing in their second year. So it's more common than not that people move off campus. And after your second year, there's no choice because you can't continue to live in honors housing unless you become an honors RA. So student panelists, talk a little bit about housing and what it was like and how you've managed to connect with the honors community, even if you didn't live in honors housing.
I can start. I didn't know who was going. So I can say at least I lived in freshman year, and then I'm a sophomore now, so I'm off campus. And I definitely think living in was really fun and like set a lot of groundwork for me to be able to like continue to be engaged with it. But there's so much going on, honestly, like in the honors community at all times that like if you don't live in, like you'll still get a lot of opportunities. Like you have to take your core classes. So you'll, those are all honors kids in those classes. If you choose to take like the honors option of a class, like honors orgo or something, like you're gonna end up with a lot of honors kids, and you kind of just end up seeing the same faces like over and over if you're like on a similar track as someone else in honors. So you kind of like form friendships that way or like study group stuff like that. Also, there's like a this week's in honors like mailing letter, and they send out events through that. So like that there's some like there were more virtual events this year, obviously, but like sometimes I'd go to some of those and like get to hang out with people for a bit. And also I took this position. It's nice, get to talk about honors and how much I like it and like get to see familiar faces. So definitely a lot of ways to get involved, even if you don't live in.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on. I'm a first year student, but I lived in honors housing last semester, but then I came back home this semester. But yeah, while I was there, there was still a lot of restrictions, so we couldn't like have anybody over or like because of COVID and all that. So it felt really restricted, but there were like a lot of like activities that you could do. There were some like virtual game nights, just like arts and crafts. That was and obviously they were all virtual, so it wasn't the best interaction that you can get, but it was at least something. And then I've met a few people through that, and I think I met the most people through my honors like organic chemistry study group. There's this option like departmental like honors courses, for example, like organic chemistry 1 and 2, where you just like meet with someone or meet with a group like a week, like once a week, and then you do a little bit more extra like orgo work, which whether that's like test prep or just going into like a specific topic. But I've met a lot of people that have like the same interest as me through that. So definitely, even if you're not in honors housing, you still have like the opportunities to connect with other people.
I did live in honors housing my first year, but I did meet a lot of people that didn't live in honors housing who were still in the program through the activities that the honors RA puts on. They do like tons of stuff over the weekend or sometimes during the week, and it's just like really fun activities, either on or off campus, just to like relax from school, hang out with some new people. So those are still open to everyone in the honors program, regardless of whether you live in South Quad or not. And so um, I've met a lot of students through that who didn't live in honors but were still participating in a lot of the things.
So I'm actually going to ask another kind of related but not related question that came up in the chat. So while living on campus, what things did you think you needed but ended up not using? And what things did you think you wouldn't use but ended up needing a lot? So essentially, what should I bring when I come to campus? And what shouldn't I bring? And I can tell you one thing, don't bother bringing an iron for your clothes, because I cannot tell you how many students I see moving in with an iron. And then I see that same iron in the box, like in the collection bin at the end of the year. So, thoughts?
I have a thought on what I actually thought I didn't need, but I actually did. So South Quad doesn't have any air conditioning. So when I moved in a while ago, it was quite hot, I guess, in late August and like early September. And like I remember the first week when I didn't have a fan, I was suffering a little. So I do recommend bringing a fan just for, August and September. It can be a small, like a desk fan, or just like a huge one you just put in the middle of your room. But I definitely recommend that.
I will say on the iron, I didn't have an iron, but I had a steamer. And I thought that was actually way more helpful because I just like would hang it up on my little bed and then just steam it a little bit. I went somewhere and it's so much easier. My roommate had brought a drying rack, which I also found really helpful on the topic of clothes. And then box fan was really, really helpful in terms of what I brought but didn't need. I don't think I needed like 90% of my clothes. Like, I don't know, like not that there's a lot of closet space in like the South Quad rooms, but like you really like, you probably don't need as many clothes as you think you need, especially if you're like, if you're like a girl, like, I don't know, I was like, oh, I'm going to need every pair of shoes I own. No, I need my sneakers to walk around everywhere. And that's about it. And like a second pair of shoes if my sneakers give me blisters. So that's 2 cents on the like, save yourself some space and hassle.
I would say that one thing that I brought my freshman year that I didn't use, I bought a Keurig before freshman year, like a coffee maker. I ended up not using that freshman year because there is coffee in the South Quad dining hall that you can get. So I ended up like not really needing it. And there's also a cafe where you can, at least when I was there, they had like Starbucks that you can buy too. So there is an abundance of coffee nearby. But now it's something that I use all the time that I'm living off campus. So like if you're a coffee drinker, that might not be something you need right away. But yeah, also I brought an ironing board and it is still in the plastic packaging that it was in when I bought it a couple years ago. So it's really not something that you'll be using most likely.
This kind of depends on what kind of a student you are. But I like bought a ton of like desk supplies, and I had this whole like setup on my desk in my dorm room. And I don't think I even turned the like desk lamp on even once because I never studied in my room. I was always like in a study room with other people or like literally anywhere but my room studying. So I have like a stapler and sticky notes and so many things that I never touched.
Going off the same limb with ironing, my roommate actually brought an ironing board and a iron. So but then I never saw him use it at all. So yeah, same message. Everyone, don't bring an ironing board or iron. They're probably, if you need an iron, there's probably someone in your hall that has one, so you just ask. But yeah, something that I didn't bring but really needed was decorations. I really recommend you bring decorations. I was the type of person, like you might see from my background, but like I have like my notes for organic chemistry up on the wall to study, but that didn't really count as decorations when like when I needed to relax. So definitely bring like colorful posters, lights. Yeah, it really lightens up the mood because once you move in, there's like it's basically like a tan wall and there's like nothing else on it, and then you have like some brown shelving, so it kind of looks very dull when you walk in. So try to make it your own place with like lights, flags, banners, all that fun stuff. So definitely recommend bringing like plant life.
Yeah, also really quickly, I think I brought like 3 extension cords and my roommate did as well. And we ended up using all of them because we had a microwave, a fridge, like our hair dryers. Like there's a decent amount of outlets within the dorm, but we just ended up needing every single one, like whenever our like laptops were charging, like iPads, phones. So I just recommend bringing a couple extension cords.
I want to second the microwave and fridge thing. My roommate and I like kind of just split the cost. Just because whenever we need to like store food or like the dining hall didn't have like wasn't open, like we could just quickly microwave something. So that's always really nice, but it's not necessary.
All right, so question next, kind of a little change of pace. How are honors classes different from non-honors classes? I'm gonna put that out to y'all.
I can start us off for that question. So I think the big difference for me, so I'm a neuroscience major and I'm on like the pre-med track. So a lot of my classes are just like chemistry, like biology and things like that. And in those classes, like it felt like I was honestly just memorizing a lot of random facts, And for honors classes, I felt like it really challenged me to think deeper into the subject. So one of my favorite classes is called What Westworld Tells Us About Being Human. And our homework for the summer was to watch the first season of Westworld. And then during class, the professor would like emulate the Westworld feeling, and like we felt like we were in like the Westworld theme park, and like his emails and like his tone, and like it was really fun. And we talked about like philosophy and like what like is like what makes a human, like is it just like you need consciousness, and then like what is consciousness, and just like topics that I would have never thought of as just like a normal like STEM major. It really put me out there and like challenged me to think deeper into the subject. So I really like honors classes for that.
I can follow. Oh, do you want to go, Veronica?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna follow up. Yeah, I'm also pre-med track and took Westworld, and would say everything Eric said was really true. It was a great class, and especially pre-med track, I feel like you can get, or like any sort of track, you can be like, oh my god, I need like X, Y, and Z. Like I don't have room to take like fun classes or something. And like philosophy was one of those things where I always was like, oh, maybe I'll take a class in it at some point. And I really feel like the honors classes kind of filled some gaps of like things I wanted to take classes in, but wasn't sure if I could fit them in my schedule. It's also, they're like pretty open-ended. So a lot of like, you get to explore the topic in like a way that makes it interesting for you, which makes more sense once you get into the classes, but you get a lot of like options on like, sometimes you get options on like what assignments you can get to your grade, or like, you can just like, oh, you have to write a paper, but you can kind of like choose a part of the essay that like you want to analyze, stuff like that. So there is a lot of flexibility, and it makes it so it's like more enjoyable for every person, even if you have different interests.
Yeah, so off of that, I took 2 honors core classes. One was called Are We Alone? And it was about the possibility of alien life. And so we talked a lot about, what it would take for life to develop on a planet, some of the different theories about that. And so that was something that I definitely wouldn't have taken without honors. So it gave me an opportunity to learn about a very niche, interesting subject. And then I took another honors core class called Detroit and gentrification. And so we learned about some of the issues that are arising in Detroit right now, with some like redevelopment and other things happening in the city, and how that's impacting the residents there. So that was a really interesting class that I learned a lot about a city that I just live an hour away from. And so the honors classes just allowed me to explore some really interesting subjects like in depth that I wouldn't have learned about otherwise and just other required classes. So I really appreciated that. And also, the professors are just really there to help you learn. They're really passionate about the subjects that they're teaching. And so that's really nice too, because they care that you're learning about the subject and they want to get to know you as a person too.
Yeah, going off of everybody. Many are probably wondering like what the difficulty of honors classes are. And let me tell you, it's not that different from other classes. It's just honors classes just allows you to approach the same subject from different viewpoints. So I took a class called What is Cancer this semester, Honors 233. But we looked at cancer through like the biological aspects, the socioeconomic aspects, and all these like healthcare disparities and all these different ways of looking at cancer. And then that way it allows you to really understand the topic. Also, it also allows you to find your passions or like find something that you might like that might seem interesting to you. So it really gives you a lot of opportunities to dig deeper. And this also comes like with the grading too. Like you can pick what assignments you want to do. You still have to keep up your work, but grades and like amount of work is not a big stressor, since it allows you more to like explore different topics.
I would also add that I think like honors classes are a bit more interactive almost. I feel like in all of the honors classes, the core classes I've taken so far, it's a lot of like discussion based, where the professor might talk about something for a while, but then they'll ask you a question, or like propose some hypothetical something, or just get like student input throughout the class, as opposed to like sitting in a lecture and someone just talking at you all day. It's more like you get to like participate, and like interact with the professor.
Great. Thank you all. So last question I think we have in our queue for right now, and then I'm gonna kind of wrap up. How was the process of finding off-campus housing? And how early did you have to start looking in your first year in order to find off-campus housing? So for those of you who kind of had the more traditional, like live your first year on campus and then move off campus, how did that work for you?
Yeah, honestly, it's a lot earlier. It's early. I think my freshman year, I think for sophomore year, I signed maybe in like October, November. I think both years I signed in like October of November, so like fall for like the following year, and that was kind of considered late, honestly. I know people who do it in like September. I personally was like, I want to see like, I want to make sure that like I'm living with people that I know I'm gonna want to live with another year, and make sure to like, get everything settled. And I'm like, I don't like, just for me, I was like, the place I'm living in isn't like the nicest, my most ideal location. Like I'm fine with that. But it is different for everyone. And like, I think you just have to keep a really open mind about like, you might not get your best location, you might not get your ideal, like this or that. But if you keep an open mind, like you will find a place, even if you're like, for example, like say you decide to rush a social like frat or sorority and you hold off on housing until second semester, but then you decide, oh, I don't want to live in there, so now I don't have housing winter semester. What do I do? Like there's always going to be a place for you to live in Ann Arbor. But it is like some people get started early, some people till later. It just, depends on preference.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty typical to start looking in the fall. When I was a freshman, I signed a lease for the next year in October. And then looking for my junior year, I signed a lease in November, which was kind of late and we didn't get an ideal location. So it's good to just start thinking about it early because there's a lot of things to take into consideration. Like there's the price, the number of rooms. Do you want to share a room? Do you want your own room? Where on campus are your classes going to be? Like you want to find a place that's close by where your classes will be. So there's just a lot of things to think of. So it's a really good idea to get started early as you can.
All right. So let's see here now. There is one question. I'll go ahead and answer this one, and then I'm going to have each of the students here kind of give their best advice for an incoming student. So while I'm answering this question, y'all think about what your best bit of advice is beyond don't bring an iron. So Chris asks, as an incoming student with some coursework and scheduling questions, can we reach out to honors advisors already, or should we find one for our major? So Chris, unfortunately, because we're currently advising current students on course registration, because that is happening right now, um, advisors can't have one-on-one meetings with students. So a lot of commonly asked questions are easily answered by doing a little bit of web searching and things like that. But when it comes to picking out your courses, scheduling your courses, that's what orientation is for. And you will have an opportunity at orientation to meet with your academic advisor, get all of your questions answered, with regard to courses and schedules and AP credit and all of that sort of stuff. But prior to orientation, you are not able to meet with an advisor. And that's not just for honor students, that's for all incoming students. So, just want to let you know. So with that, we've got 5 minutes left, which is enough time for all of our peers to give you their kind of, best bit of advice for an incoming student. So let's go in reverse order of how you all introduced yourself. So Yoshi, you get to go first.
Awesome. Yeah. For me, I would definitely say keep an open mind when you're approaching different subjects. You might find something that you're passionate about and you didn't even know it during high school. So keep an open mind. And something that really helped me was reach out to other people, your advisors, and look for opportunities that you like. It might not even interest you, but if you do it, it's gonna be fun because it's honors. There's been stuff like readings over the summer. I'm not really a huge book guy, but I did that. It was very fun. So do take opportunities where you can, and yeah, try to encourage yourself to participate in honors.
I think I'm next, but yeah. I would say make the most of your freshman experience by just joining a bunch of things. That's what I did. That's how I met the most amount of people. I joined a lot of clubs. Even if I was just like a little bit interested, there are things like Winterfest and Festival where a bunch of clubs will in a way campaign their club and like try to recruit new members. So I would say that's a great way to find out all the resources that Michigan has to offer. And also I would just back what Yoshi was saying, like reach out to like upperclassmen. They have all been very, very helpful and we're all here to help you. So yeah, make use of all the resources.
Was I next? Okay, I can go. So I would say just be kind to yourself and make sure you take care of yourself throughout college. Like no matter how well prepared you are, you're still going to run into some challenges throughout your time here, and like that's okay, and like that's even good too, because it like helps you like prepare for your life. And so just make sure that you're being kind to yourself. If you get a B in a class, it's not going to be the end of the world. Like it's going to be okay, and just make sure that you're taking classes that you're genuinely interested in, and doing what makes you happy, and don't force yourself into a field that you're not really enjoying.
Am I up? Okay. My piece of advice would be don't be afraid to like step outside your comfort zone and do things that are unfamiliar to you, especially like just coming into college. Like no matter how close or far away you live, just being in college is a new experience for everyone. So new things are happening all around you, and just to try to take advantage of that. But always keep in mind that things don't always go the way they plan. You might run into a global pandemic and get sent home from school. You really never know what's going to happen. So just kind of, it's good to plan things ahead, but also it's okay if things don't go the way you want, and change. It's okay to change.
Okay, I think I am next. So I think my best piece of advice be like just really get to know all the people in honors. Like, it might not, the first people you meet might not be like, your closest like best friends, but then like, just keep talking to people. I met some of my best friends through honors, and like I didn't even meet them till like 3/4 of the way through the first semester, even though we were in the same classes. So like, and there's also just so many cool people in honors doing so many cool things. This goes for outside of honors too, but like honors specific, there are a lot of really cool people in this program. And it's like a really diverse group, and everyone's really like friendly and willing to talk. And especially freshman year, everyone wants to meet new people. Everyone's in a new spot. So I think just really take advantage and like get to know as many people as you can. And then it's really nice because then the next 3 years at this school, you're like, oh my gosh, friendly faces everywhere. Like the honors community really spreads everywhere. So yeah.
All right, and then I'll basically just echo what everyone's been saying so far. Definitely, yeah, try a lot of new things freshman year. It's a new experience from high school, but also don't overwhelm yourself with all the experience that you do get with honors. It's like for me, I only took 14 credits. There's no need to like front load yourself with like 18 credits your freshman year. You know, you gotta make friends. You know, just have the college experience. Don't worry if like you hear like someone's gonna graduate in like 3 years or something. You know, take it at your own pace. It's okay to graduate in 4 or 5. You know, it's up to you. So really just enjoy college and never feel like time spent for yourself is a waste. And a personal piece of advice is try not to register for ADM classes if you can. It's really, for some reason, college ADMs hit different than high school. So that is my personal point of advice.
Those are all excellent bits of advice, for sure. And I'll kind of just piggyback a little bit off of what Eric said, that, thinking about the 8 a.m. course or, what Veronica said about being kind to yourself and so forth. College is an opportunity for you to learn about yourself in new ways, and in ways that you didn't have the opportunity generally to learn about yourself because you had fewer choices. You had fewer opportunities to try out when you were in high school. You were limited by the size of, your high school, and even the biggest high school comes nowhere near the size and scale of Michigan. And with that size, though, come choices, and you have to make choices. And sometimes you'll make good choices, and sometimes you will make not good choices. But every choice you make is an opportunity for you to learn about who you are, what's important to you, and what you want. And even a bad choice is a learning opportunity. And so if you really approach college as an opportunity for you to figure out who you are and what you want and what you value, you will end up at the end of your 4 years much wiser than you were when you started. So make all the choices. Think hard about the choices and reflect on what you've learned along the way. With that, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming today. Shannon dropped a whole bunch of links there at the end. So go ahead, check out our upcoming events, our website, and email us if you have any questions. Thank you and have a great night.